And I understand that in this time slot, maybe callers haven't been a huge part, but I want you to feel comfortable voicing your opinions. So we have Donald from Raleigh on the line. You can call in as well, 919-860-5326 if you want to react to Bryce Young and the Panthers and their preseason debut over the weekend. We'll start with Donald. Donald, thank you for calling in. What's your reaction to what you saw on the field for the Panthers and Bryce Young?
So like you said, or like he said, his adrenaline was high. So like I don't know if that affected his hit. Because it was a big hit. But the defense, I feel like our defense should not have allowed them to score 27 points on a preseason game. Especially with, Zach Wilson was good, but there are other QBs, they're not, they're third string and fourth string. And with all our new coaches, I don't know if it's because we have new coaches and they're all, getting their sync together, but I feel like it should not have been 27 points. And I think we should have at least scored at least a field goal. To be the only team in the NFL in preseason week 1 to score 0 points, that's kind of not a good look already.
Do you give any sort of pass specifically to the defense because guys like Brian Burns, Justin Houston, and a few others didn't play in the game?
You said what? I'm sorry?
Do you give any sort of pass specifically to the defense, which is what you brought up first, because Brian Burns, Justin Houston, a few others didn't play in the game?
Yes, but I don't think they're those reasons. Those players are the reasons. We have other good second string defense players, but I feel like when we do start our first game of the week 1, I do feel like those players would start becoming an impact. But it goes back to years on end. Like, we always score field goals. We are not a touchdown team that always, that can consistently score touchdowns. I don't know why all the coaches we have, they settle on field goals. And that's one thing I've always hated about the Panthers is that they're happy with field goals, and no team should be happy with field goals.
Donald, I appreciate the call. I'm going to respond to a few of those things here, but thank you for the call. Call back in anytime. And that goes for all of you, 919-860-5326 if you want to react to Bryce Young and the Panthers' preseason debut. I'm not willing to group, based on what Donald just said, I'm not willing to group this year's Panthers with the Panthers teams in the past yet, okay? Saying, this is one of my problems with the Panthers, and then you recognize it's a new quarterback, it's a new running back who didn't play in the game, Miles Sanders. It's new wide receivers for the most part. It's new coaches, it's new coordinators, it's new this, it's new that. It's give them a little bit more time before you start putting them in with all of the rest of the Panthers, right? Give them a little bit more time before you start throwing them into this is how it's always been. They've always settled for the field goal. We don't know how that's going to be yet, right? We just don't know. Now you can have, like I said, you can react. You can have your reactions. It's not an overreaction. I just don't want to group them with the rest, right? You can be upset they didn't score. You can be disappointed they gave up 27 to a team led by Zach Wilson. You can do all of that, right? But the thing I don't want to do is put them in, this is how it was under Matt Rule. This is how it was under so-and-so, right? Go back as far as you want. Another reaction, part of Reaction Monday when we're looking at the Panthers here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly. Tony from the Ville. Tony from Fayetteville's on the line. You can be as well, 919-860-5326. That's the Heister Automotive Group hotline. Tony, thank you for calling in. What's your reaction to Bryce Young's debut and the Panthers' first preseason game?
Well, thanks for having me on.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like everyone, we were wanting to look and see what Bryce Young did. And obviously, it was only 3 series, but I felt like he was very poised.
Mm.
And I was wanting to see how he reacted to get hit by an NFL player for the first time. He got hit pretty hard about 3 times. And I think he handled that real well. And I think another thing that we don't look at, and no one's ever mentioned it when they compare it to past quarterbacks, but there's a Hall of Fame quarterback that played at 190 pounds, and he held all the records for many years, and that was Fran Tarkenton. He didn't have any trouble with it.
I didn't honestly. I've seen all the old films, the shaky camera films of Fran Tarkenton. I didn't realize he was that small. If he was,
he played at 190, and he played a game like Bryce Young played in college. Bryce Young is very mobile and dances around and gets away from trouble and extends plays.
All right, appreciate the call, Tony. Call back in anytime. I was not expecting a Fran Tarkenton comparison, but I don't hate it. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe Bryce Young has to start going in reverse, right, scrambling back 10 or 15 yards. But going into it to what he was saying about the poise and the getting up, I do think like the eye test was passed by Bryce Young. I do think the eye test, meaning he appeared to be the guy. And when things are going bad, you also have to wear that attitude, right? It can't just be when things are going well. We'll take one more here in this segment. Herman from Raleigh is on the call-in line, 919-860-5326. Herman, what was your takeaway from the game with the Panthers?
Yeah, how you doing? Yeah, I am definitely not satisfied with the way they used Bryce Young. You know, I understand the guys, he's a rookie, but you know, play him a little bit more. You know, you have to get the guy's feet wet. I mean, what's it gonna take to play him? Maybe up until the second half. Well, maybe that's too much. But give him some more reps. Let him throw the ball downfield a little bit. Let him show us a little bit more of what he can do. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. I mean, it's preseason. The guys are supposed to play some football and get an understanding of what they need to do as a professional if he's a rookie. So why hold him back so much?
Herman, now, first of all, it's a great point, right? And I actually, I think if you look at the Denver Broncos and what they did in their preseason, Russell Wilson was not good for 3 series, and they played him into the 4th series, and he had a long touchdown drive, and everyone got really excited. And it felt like to me, Sean Payton and the Broncos were going to play Russell until he did something well. And I guess the Panthers could have gone down that path. Here's my only caveat. After the game, they were having offensive line only meetings where they were talking about how they didn't play well enough, they weren't doing good enough. So if Bryce Young showed enough for the coaches to say he understands what's going on, but the offensive line showed enough where they said they don't know what's going on, I'm not sure you want to keep putting your guy out there, regardless of rookie, veteran, anything, because you don't want to put him in harm's way. You know what you get what I'm saying there?
Yeah, I certainly understand what you're saying. But I'm of the contention that the more information you have concerning the ability of your man, the better off you are. So that's my standpoint. I certainly understand everything you're saying, and it certainly is a point well taken. But maybe I'm a little bit old school.
Hey, appreciate the call. We did just have somebody compare him to Fran Tarkenton, so I don't know if you're maybe a little bit old school, but thank you for the call, Herman, and thank you to everybody for calling in today. We're reacting to the Panthers. We'll check back in with those reactions throughout the show, and trust me, I have plenty of reactions where those came from also.